Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, building experiences that connect, remove friction, and deliver insights. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today is Alinka Rutkowska. Alinka is the CEO of Leaders Press, a USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling press, where she creates books for entrepreneurs from scratch and launches them to bestseller within a 100% success rate. She runs a hybrid publishing house with traditional distribution through which more than 500 entrepreneurs have been able to share their stories with the world. Many Leader Press authors have become USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling authors. Alinka has been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneurs on Fire, and numerous other outlets. Her mission is to help 10,000 entrepreneurs share their wisdom with the world by 2030. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Alinka.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
So, Alinka, first off, why do you do what you do?
Passion. I started in a corporate world, and after a while, I realized that I'm being boxed into an area where I don't really have too much wiggle room to grow. And I thought that maybe there's something more out there. So the short story is that I left. I started reinventing myself, trying to understand what I really wanted to do. Ups and downs, zigs and zags, and I came up with the idea of Leaders Press, where we help entrepreneurs get their books done and out onto bestseller lists.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Tell me how a small business owner can benefit from writing a book.
A book is an amazing lead generation and lead conversion tool. If you're a small business owner and you don't have a book, then your competitors who do have one are the ones that stand out and you don't. So if your competition doesn't have a book, though, then you will stand out if you're the first one. So it's a great lead generation tool because whenever somebody looks online for an answer to their question and they find your book is the answer if it's positioned correctly. You know, Amazon is a search engine. So if you have a book that answers a question, then that customer will seek you out because now you become the authority. You answer their question. They want more. They possibly want to then hire you to do the thing for them if you're a service provider. Or maybe you provide the widget that they need to, get their result. And a book is also a great lead conversion tool because once that potential customer comes to your website or comes to a sales call, they're no longer thinking, who is this company? Who is this person? What do? They know you're the authority. And the questions in their minds are, well, how does this specifically work for my situation? So it's a completely different conversation. You just built your authority incredibly by putting a book out.
So is it fair to say that the misnomer, the thing that people don't understand is they're not going to get rich off of their book? That's not what this is about per se. They're not going to make a lot of money by publishing the book, although some, of course, can. But unless you're J.K. Rowling, you're not going to get a $1 million advance here.
Yes, it's exactly as you're saying. Most of the people who are successful in the business area are the ones that are using their book as a entry to their business world. So just to give you an example, we did a really cool tool for ourselves, a lead generation book called Outsource Your Book. And if we had paid our fees, it would have been a 1,000% return on investment because that book got us 6 figures in 6 months in terms of revenue and now we're way into 7 figures just from that book, just from people finding that book when they're looking for how to get a book out, how to write a book, how to publish a book, market a book. The book pops up inside. There's a link to get into our funnel, and then they end up on talking on sales calls, talking to our team, and getting their books done with us. All thanks to that book. And that book also landed, for example, the co-founder of DHL International that we would never have been able to contact one-on-one because he has too many gatekeepers. But we had the book, he found the book and came to us.
So talk a little bit. That begs a question that I think is important for folks to understand. There's a wide variety of participation. They can outsource their book entirely, so to speak, but they could also have a level of participation where that would allow them to create or add to the creativity aspect of it. So talk a little bit about that wide range.
The range is indeed very wide. We've developed some packages that are really the ones that work just based on our experience. And you can come with an idea and leave as a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author, featured all over the place. And that's a pretty substantial investment, but then we like to look at the return on that investment. And if you have a business and the calculations add up, then it makes a lot of sense to do it. Then another thing that you can creatively participate in, and it's a much smaller investment that brings in a huge return, is one of our anthologies. We do these anthologies for leaders on different topics that we then launch to the USA Today bestseller list. And we've done topics like persistence, habits, mindset, overall leadership. And this is something that leaders, entrepreneurs resonate with. And we launch these books to the bestseller list, and everybody gets the status of a USA Today bestselling author, which they can then use on any book they've published or will publish in their marketing materials. And that opens a lot of doors. Like, we've had speakers double their speaking fees because of that. Businesses looking for investors, using that book to attract investors and get them to know them better. So a lot of reasons to do that. It opens a lot of doors.
So talk a little bit about what was one of the most interesting authors that you've worked with that was maybe a little bit of a surprising story for you.
I think the most well-known business that we've worked with is DHL, the co-founder of DHL International. And that was really at the beginning. We were just getting started. We didn't have all these accolades. Now we have a distribution partnership with Simon & Schuster, one of the largest publishing houses in the U.S. We distribute our books through their channels. We got almost 200 authors on the USA Today bestseller list. We didn't have all those accolades and we didn't have a huge team. We didn't have a sales team. I was still the salesperson when at a certain point I see on my calendar, and I remember I was skiing, I see on my calendar somebody signing up to meet with me with an email ending with dhl.com. And I was wondering, I wonder who that is. And then I look up the name. I wasn't familiar with it. And I looked the name up and I said, what? The co-founder? And that's how it started. And we did the book Designed to Win. And I was just on a call with him last weekend. He likes to call on the weekends. It's the only person I reply to. I answer on the weekends. And he wants to do another book. So it's a pretty amazing cooperation. Just, and he found us through our book. There's no way I could ever be able to contact him. He has too many gatekeepers. But the book solved this problem completely.
And Alinka, we have an exit question that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
There's this concept of looking at yourself 10 years from now as your hero, not to mention specific names. And that might be a little bit, I'm thinking, egotistic possibly, but it also allows you to reflect. When we look at our goals and what we want to accomplish, these are moving targets. Like, we're never satisfied. But if we look back, for example, 3 years from now, where were we? What was our, status? What was our business like? What was its size? Then we see how much we've actually accomplished. So I think being able to understand where we could be 10 years from now and make your future self be your hero is a very interesting concept. And if that doesn't resonate, then definitely the co-founder of DHL International is my hero, because he was the delivery person and the CEO. It's basically one person, one man band. And now it's $1 billion business. So if he's not a hero, then who is?
And lastly, Alinka, how can somebody contact you?
The best way is to go to leaderspress.com/discover, and you'll go through a quiz, which will answer one of the questions we had. What type of book should you do? It will tell you if it should be a lead generation book or a legacy piece or an anthology. And you'll also get the book that I mentioned, Outsource Your Book, as an audiobook, because we like to listen. And that's all at leaderspress.com/discover.
All right. Alinka Rutkowska, CEO of Leaders Press, thanks so much for being a guest on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. So exciting.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.